Hi, I'm Mark, and in this episode, the sixth episode in a series of videos where we look back at the build of Gizmo, our 2013 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon. If you haven't been watching the video so far, I'm going to put a link up right now so you could go back and watch the beginning to now. It'll help you understand how we got to this point in this video. In this video, though, we're going to put together the final hardware on the platform that we've been building for the last 3 episodes. And we're going to install some new fabricated parts that we've had made specifically that weren't in the last build. So let's go ahead and get this built. I've gone ahead and I've got all of the holes drilled. This would be the hardware that I'm using for this application. You may want to use something a little bit different. Once you see how this all goes together, you probably can improvise to your own specifications. It's all stainless steel except for this M6 bolt. It's a 1 pitch, 45 millimeters long. It's metric. This is the ones that go in and hold the platform down in the tie-down bolts that are in the back of the Jeep from the factory. These are T-nuts. These ones are going to be epoxied in, and we're working with 1/4 inch. We have flathead tapered and pan as well. These are 1032, and this one is a new application for me. They're for smaller items that are going to tack down to the board. You'll see how that works. The power panel is what we're talking about. Where there is the surface of the footwell support, we go through here with the head, and we have the T-nut on the back side of here. So it sandwiches the two and holds it together when it's in the Jeep. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick look at how we install the T-nuts. There are many types of glue you can use. I prefer using, for an application like this, Gorilla Glue. I used it on the last system and it lasted for 5+ years. So why wouldn't I use it again? It needs a bit of moisture when you go to apply it to activate properly. So you'll see how we do that. Here's what we need to make this work. We need a washer. We need a 1 inch and a 1/2 inch screw, 1/4 inch. We need the 1/4 inch T-nut. And of course we need the Gorilla Glue and a wet rag, because Gorilla activates with a little bit of moisture. It doesn't need to be flooded, but the surface needs to get wet, as you'll see in a minute. The goal is going to be to put a little bead around this area here, because the Gorilla Glue expands about 2 to 3 times its size as it cures in the first 1 to 2 hours. So you need to clamp it for about 1 to 2 hours. Then you can take the clamp off and it'll cure within 24 hours. So if we have too much, it's going to come out everywhere. So our goal is to have enough to work, but not have too much to make a big mess and get in the screw threads and everything. In this case, we mentioned a clamp. We're going to use the bolt as the clamp on the other side. There, you can see the glue that we've got a little bead about 1/8 of an inch around the inner portion of the T-nut. Okay, the first thing we do is we get the surface nice and damp. You don't need water running off it. Now it's moist. We'll insert it. We'll take the awl. Like I said, it's there just to hold it. When I press hard on the awl, it digs in and won't allow it to rotate. Now I just clean it up a bit, because it's going to expand 2 to 3 times. So it's going to come out, but why have some on the outside anyway? And we've got pretty good tension. You can see that there's really not much gaps going around or anything. Now we'll take a look at the other side. I just took the screw, screwed it in with a washer, snugged it up good and tight, as you saw. I didn't really overdo it, but I used the awl. It would have turned without the awls. You can see that it has already started to expand out of the holes. It will even come out of this side a bit. It doesn't take a terrible mess, as we can see, but what it does do is we can just brush that off with a bit of sandpaper later on. You can see why you don't want to get too much. Now let's do the rest. This is where we tie the front of the platform down to the floor. What we've did is we've made up a bracket that attaches to the back of the seat on the inside of the vehicle, on the passenger side, and it bends over and connects to the top of the platform. We had a local company that does laser cutting cut me some 1/8" aluminum by 3.5" wide slats in certain lengths to fit around the board. As you can see, they also were able to punch the holes. That was really nice of them. They paid a little less than 100 Canadian dollars. I think it was with all the taxes and everything, about $92. This is the adhesive we're going to use to apply the strips to the platform. It is PL Premium. It is a LePage's product. It's a construction adhesive that glues pretty much anything to anything. Metal to concrete, concrete to wood, you name it, it pretty much glues it all. Okay, we don't want to get too much glue on these, so we want we want to keep it away from the edge a bit because we'll have it sort of spread out as we go. Just enough to cover the surface a little bit, but nothing crazy. We don't want it squirting out everywhere. Better to have not too much. This stuff is really strong. Now what we'll do, we'll just flatten it out. You can see we'll just get it everywhere. It doesn't have to be right to the edge. This stuff is so strong. Now we'll flip it back over. Kind of think stuff actually gets a bit of a suction going on. I am got a mark here and I'm just spacing it correctly. We'll clamp these down here. I want it flush with the edge. Aluminum can be sanded a little bit, so when we go to finally give it a final little sand, we'll just go right at the edge. Good. We got no real gaps. There we go. One down, 4 more to go. We pulled off all the clamps. One thing we need to look at is the back of the board here. We have added a piece of aluminum to the back because the other one wore quite a bit along here, putting stuff in and out of the Jeep. So we basically added this L-shape 1/2 by 3/4, 1/2 this way, 3/4 this way. We added it to the back here. I just mitered these two and put them together just with the chop saw. So, and they're just basically sands perfect. Works really good. Okay, on the previous system, I had a bit of a problem with squeaks between the power platform or the power panel and the deck. So there was some movement here, just a little bit, and what happened was it just caused the squeaks. So wherever it comes in contact with the floor, I went ahead and used some foam that's adhesive on one side, and then it's sort of got just a smooth surface on the other side, and it's quite dense. Where this stuff is used is on the bed of a truck where the topper comes to meet the bed rails. It's designed to go there. It's also in the Jeep top between the body and the top of the Jeep at the back. It's the same stuff. So I just cut it into strips that fit, and I put it here, here, and there, and I just left the gap where the screws are going to come through to mount. So that should hopefully help with the squeak. It wasn't terrible, but you know, when it's so quiet in there with all of the Pelican cases, because they really don't make any noise and gear's well secured, it's only really in the places you move you hear it, and this was one of them. We pretty much are ready to do a test fit and make sure everything still fits properly in the Jeep. The other place that we were getting the rubbing was at the back of the Jeep on either side, the passenger or the driver's side. There's these plastic pieces where the floor meets the plastic. From here to here on this side, there's a bit of a overhang. So that's why we're starting here, and then here's where it ends. So we're going to put that strip right down here underneath, because we were getting a little bit of movement there, and that was also a source of a little bit of noise. Those things can be annoying after a while. And on this side as well, this is the driver's side, it's flush here, and we're going to run it from here, which is the edge of the plastic, right down to here, so underneath. So when we take it out for the final finish and any touch-up sanding, we'll take care of it at that time and put it on. You can see this is the tie down for the front of the platform. We finished that off here. I just cut it and then bent it over at the right height when the board was put in here. Here's the front tie down in position. You can just see the top piece just bends over the platform and goes through and is anchored into the deck itself, and there's a T-nut underneath. And it's reinforced by the aluminum strip. This is an improvement we made. We didn't have the strips on, of course, the last system, and I think this will add a lot of rigidity. It is heavier, but not substantially. That's going to make any difference to our load carrying capacity. Everything else works good. We've finalized and made sure that everything worked with the tie down at the front. Now, about the finish we're going to put on. We're only going to finish the bare wood on the top side and the sides that are exposed. Actually, all the way around on the sides of the material. We're not going to cover the slats just because they're going to get scratched. That's what they're here for. And if they got to finish, they're just going to look worse than just raw, scratched up material. That's what they're here for. So that's what we're going to do. The other thing is on the well here, the footwell system underneath, we're going to coat that with a clear as well. But we're not going to go in between the two pieces of wood because they will stick together. And that's the problem we had on the last system. With temperature, they kind of glue themselves together with the same material, paint material, or finish material, like a clear. So we'll do that. We're not going to use a bed liner simply because it's a rough surface and it will help hold dust. Where this just, we have a little broom that we carry, little handheld sweeper, and it cleans it up really easy. Let's take it out. I've gone ahead and put the finish on the bare wood on the top of the deck and on the bottom of the footwell support and on the sides of the top edge. But that's it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put it back in the Jeep for the final time. Well, we've got it all back in, and I'm real happy with how it got put together. I think it turned out great. Putting on the slats was a great idea. It made the board much more rigid, and that can only help. I think the finish is going to be good. I like the lighter color underneath in the footwell system. It also helps me see in there a bit because the black on black, it just was this cave. But that lighter color, actually, I can see things much better. So if you like this video and it really helped, hit the thumbs up. It really helps us grow. If you haven't subscribed to be a member of this channel, go ahead and do so now. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again for watching.